Thanks, Janine, for helping me with this little walk through of the dollhouse. This dollhouse was originally built 30 years ago. I built it for Liz. It was a kit, and the kit initially comes with everything that you see here, and the shingles, not the siding, so the siding was a bit of an add-on. But it was very gingerbready and very Victorian, and I kind of got the idea that I wanted to update and modernize it. So there's gingerbread here I took off, there's gingerbread here I took off. This was all shingled. I vowed I wasn't going to take the shingles off, but as you can see, I have done just that. But I want to replace them with a straighter cut shingle, not a fishtail, not a gingerbread thing. So there was a lot of fussy stuff on here. There was banisters and railings, but they were in bad shape and they weren't all that nice, to be honest. I didn't, I guess just over the years of things breaking, patching, gluing, painting, repainting, they were just pretty gummy. And I started to look at these floors and I started to fight with the railing, and I just ripped the railing off and thought, I'm just going to start over again. So outside is not done. And really, a lot of the inside is not done either. I'm not going to turn it around just yet. But a lot of the trim isn't done. This will all have to be sanded and repainted. These corners aren't done. So don't remember that it's about half finished. So if you see something inside and you're like, ew, that's because I'm not done. Ew, David. Anyway, a really quick run through about the materials, or the tools and stuff, because honestly, there's not that much. It's pretty basic. And you need some knives, assortment of X-Actos. I use this one a lot for demolition. You need some rulers, you need some paintbrushes, you need some little drills, you need some pencils. You might need some wires, some pliers, but you can see that everything is easily accessible. There's nothing unusual. I do have a few things that I did order that are a bit unusual and kind of fun. They're not here yet, and you can live without them. One of them is a miter crimp that will cut things on an angle so I don't have to measure them, which will be faster. And another one is a little miter saw. Same thing. You can live without it, but this will be faster. You need some sandpaper, probably. And to hold everything together, of course, you have to clamp it all. Well, you don't need big wood glue clamps, although I do have this big fancy one. But these work just as well. The lighting, the original lighting in this house was wired. I didn't do it well, and I didn't do it properly. I didn't do it at the right time. So I was fighting with it constantly to try and hide the wires, and I was never very successful at the lighting. So this time I thought I was going to go LED and just do use what I could find for lighting. And so I actually use tea lights. They don't look like this when they're in the house, but you'll see later on when I install them what they do look like. I use these little guys that they make for putting in balloons at showers and weddings and stuff. So they're just unscrew. So I've got like a bag of 50 of these. So I've made a bunch of lights using that, which I like. And also the really tiny strings of fairy lights I use for my lighting. That's about it for the tools, nothing fancy. Materials, wood. Wood comes in all shapes and forms. These skewers I use a ton of, not skewers, but craft sticks. Just any shape or form. Coffee stirrers, tons of this whole porch floor is made with coffee skewers, and you'll see it again on the inside. And this is what I use the miter saw and the snippers for, is to get the angles. It's really easy to cut. You don't need any power tools. This kind of stuff, the square wooden dowels, that's going to become all the uprights, and this will be a part of a railing. This will be part of a railing. So this is all stuff that you will use, and sometimes I just buy sheets of wood. I don't have very much left. I'm running out. But they come about 3 inches wide and about 3 feet long, and they'll make a ton of stuff. So I use a lot of wood. I also use this I think it's called polystyrene. Or at least, yeah, polystyrene sheets. Train modelers use this. And it's great. Like I did a lot of this in the kitchen. I used a lot of this. Foam board, get that anywhere. And metal sheeting, I also, again, pretty much just use it in the kitchen, but I did need it. But this stuff is all really, really cheap. Hobby Shop, Michaels, easy to get. And all the windows and framed pictures and artwork are all just made out of packaging. So I will just take the sticker off, cut this out, and I've got a window. So easy, easy, easy. Now, of course, you can go the other route and buy all this stuff, but it'll end up really adding up really fast. For glues, because you've got so many different materials, glue's probably the thing I've invested the most in so far. tiny little precision glue gun, which I love. It's got a teeny little end that will go anywhere. So I have regular glue and I have fabric glue for that. When I started it, I did use the big one and it was all right, but this is just easier. This, I guess, should have been in the other one, but this I also use for clamping. If I'm in a spot where I really can't get at it, I'll use painter's tape to kind of hold things together. This glue is great. I've got a metal glue. Sorry, Janine. This glue is really good. This glue is not much different than wood glue, except that it sets up really fast. So you can move ahead with your projects a lot quicker than if you're using wood glue and you have to let it sit there and dry for a day. So if you can't get this, you can still do it all. Just have to let it sit a bit longer. Crazy glue. This is the strongest glue in the world, or so it says. You also have to be the most patient in the world because you have to let it sit there for a full day. I use acrylic paint just from the dollar store, nothing fancy here. Mod Podge, again, dollar store stuff. I do use a varnish too for the floors, just a regular polyurethane varnish. Lots of disposable brushes, but that's it. And as far as fabrics, the only thing with fabric that you need to keep in mind is that you have to think of the scale. So if you have a huge fabric with a big pattern, it's not going to look right. If you have a really stiff fabric, it's not going to drape right. You have to be able to get around tiny little corners. So you can't use anything really, really thick or really crazy. But I mean, anything. You can use an old shirt. I think I had an old white pillowcase, and I used that for all of the bedding because it was white. And it worked. Old t-shirts, all that stuff. You can just find around the house. And stuffing for pillows and quilt batting. So Monique Pat Note, I don't know if Monique is anybody on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if Monique is on yet. She said she was going to try. I asked her if I told her I'd buy it from her, but she ended up kindly donating it. And I wanted to make a chair, which I'll show you near the end. And this is what she gave me, and this is what I needed. So, I mean, stuff goes a long, 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 long way. So for me to buy a package of that would have been crazy because I would have had enough for 1,000 dollhouses. So what I'm going to do now is turn this around. I guess another thing to mention is the scale of this. The scale is 1 to 12, which means that 1 inch equals 1 foot. And that is what most dollhouses are. Trained modelers work in a 1 to 48. Barbie dolls work in a 1 to 16. So it's just, no, it's 1 to 6. Yeah, 1 to 6. Anyway, this is 112, and that's what most people work in. I kind of was thinking I might do another one and do it 124, but the house will be a nice size, but this, I don't know how I could make some of the stuff any smaller than what it already is. So when I first did this house, that's 30 years ago, there was very little, not very little, there was a lot of miniature stuff, but it was almost all Victorian. And so that's the style I went with, just because that's what was available. There was no, we were mail ordering things, but there was no online ordering, blah, 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 blah. So I went Victorian because I could find it. But when I wanted to redo it, I wanted to redo it more modern. So what I'm going to do now is turn it around. I'm going to get Janine to tell me when I'm at a good angle. I'm starting with this room here. If we start when I built it was 30 years ago, then I fast forwarded 15 years. It was a mess. It was old. It was yellowed. It was dirty. I had made some stuff. I didn't buy a lot of stuff. I made an awful lot, and I didn't make it well. I did make this little chair, though, which I have no idea how I made that.
We built our house 30 years ago.
Did you? I did make this little chair, but
wow.
This is the kind of thing that it was just old, yellow. Now this particular chair was one of the things that I kept. So it's not in bad shape, so I thought I can probably reuse that. But a lot of the stuff was. At the beginning, I was pretty careful with the house and the kids playing with it, but at the end, I was just like, it was a free-for-all. So things got broken and wrecked, and like I said, I didn't make them properly. I probably didn't use the right glue. I probably had a 7-year-old hounding me over when it was going to be finished, so I'm hurrying, and it was a whole different mindset. So I wanted to do it modern, so I separated, 15 years later, I separated all the furniture from the house, cleaned it all out, and that's where it's at. Another 15 years go by, and that puts us at this August, and that's when I decided to redo it. So on the outside, just very quickly, back to the outside for a second, the only thing, except for the changes that I mentioned that I'm going to do, this used to be a salmon color. And I painted it blue, and it's going to stay blue, I think.
Good call.
But it might not. But you never know. So anyway, we're going to start with the living room. So I'm going to start with what is in the living room right now. I just repainted this. It's a little bit blotchy, so ignore that. So what's in the living room that isn't going to change? So you're looking at the living room now. I'm going to focus on this fireplace for a minute.
Life is good.
So this fireplace was what I had originally in the house. There's a little flicker light. I don't know if you'll be able to see the lights on, maybe. It was black, and it was going to sit here. And I made a couch, and I had a different floor. I had the floor was painted, and I made a window seat. And then after about a week of watching all these videos, I was like, oh, I can do way better than this. I can do way better than this. So, goes to the attic, which the attic isn't done yet, but we will talk a little bit about it if we have time. If not, it'll wait for the next time. So, I see this design for a fireplace that I love. So that was kind of my first build. And I made the TV so that it can come out on magnets so that I can reach in and turn the lights on in the fireplace and change the channels. Although I don't only have one show on right now, but I can change the channel if I desire. Whoops, sorry, there we go. These pictures are artwork that I did, original drawings that Janine kindly printed for me and I framed, but you can use anything. You can print anything you want off the internet. You can put a Picasso on your wall. Doesn't matter what artwork you use. You print it off. You use probably these coffee stirrers for frames and a little bit of that clear plastic for glass. The floor is all coffee stirrers. And just as if you were doing a real floor, I cut them in a few different lengths. I left lots long. Cut another one in 2/3 and 1/3 so that I could stagger so that it would look like a floor. Again, woodwork's not finished.
I like your little logs.
My little logs, yeah, they came from the little cedar tree outside. So yeah, so the wood, again, the stuff like this isn't finished yet. Stuff like that isn't finished yet. Okay, so the first room, so this is the third couch that I made. And again, I was trying to figure out, I want to make a leather couch. Where am I going to get leather? And then I remembered that Sam had thrown out his office chair. And it was absolutely no good because the hydraulics were gone. So I went out to the garage and I skinned it. And I got tons of black vinyl, which I just love. So first thing I made was a window seat for this little bay. So we'll put that in there. And then I made a little plant. Now the little plant, the plants I make all from the dollar store, and again, you just have to remember scale. It doesn't have to be dollars or artificial plants, but you have to remember your scale. The pot is recycled from one of these lids. Okay. And then this is just made out of that little, one of the styles of wood that I showed you earlier. So we'll put that pot in the corner. This is the new couch. So it's
nice to get a new couch.
It's always nice to get a new couch. It sits this way, and it actually magnetizes together on those two corners so that they kind of stay put. And we have 3 little cushions. These cushions I think I sewed, but there is also a lot of stuff that people do that's no sew where you use the fabric glue. I think I glued the openings to these. I glued them instead of trying to sew them by hand, especially because it was a vinyl and it was hard. I had the suede that I thought would look nice to make a few more pillows. Hang a picture on the wall. This might be fiddly, Janine. I might have to. So again, I painted that picture, but I mean, you can do anything, right? You can find one online. You can maybe crooked. There we go. Coffee table. These 2 coffee tables. Now I did have. These were kind of my second build after the fireplace. They're not perfect. Some of my cuts are bad. I said to Sam yesterday, I said my skill level's gotten better though because I'm only making things once now instead of 3 times. So this is a good thing. These glass panels I had from something. They came from Michael's. They're some scrapbooking something. I don't know what people use them for, but they're actually glass because the plastic in that case would have been too flimsy. So glass coffee table, glass side table. We'll plunk that in there. This is a fun little number. Now I spilt them this morning. This little bowl I made over, out of Fimo over something that was round like that. And the chips are dried red pepper seeds, or green pepper, or yellow pepper, whatever you want. So there's a little fun thing you can have in there that always gets spilled. iPad, again, printed off. That's, I think, just a little piece of wood, and I think the standing case is just Bristol board. So some of the stuff is, it's not, and a lot of it isn't real kid friendly. I mean, if Benny came in and grabbed that, he could crush it. But having said that, my theory is that since I made everything, I can fix everything or remake it. Little remote control. Whoops. For the TV, Tessa's first thing she says is, "Does it work?" No. It doesn't work. These little baskets are fun. So that's just some kind of white cord over cardboard. Here's an example of the fabric situation. So this fabric came from a dish towel at the dollar store. But if you hang, like fabric doesn't, small bits of fabric don't drape nicely. Well, that actually doesn't too bad. But if you tried to make curtains, for example, out of a piece of fabric, let me see if I can do it, if I can demonstrate it or not. Which reminds me, I forgot something. And put them on a 2-inch window. They don't hang and drape nicely because it's too light. So you get that kind of a look. So I kind of just, that's not bad there actually. And we'll stick
Good opportunity for a Roman blind.
Well, the blinds, I forgot to talk about the blinds. The blinds are Q-tips. So I patiently pulled all the cotton ends off of the Q-tips. And then put them on strings and glued them, and yeah, that was kind of fun.
Siri, no.
But hi, Siri. What are you after?
No, she wants to get on your lap, and she can't do that.
She can't do that right now. So here's an example of the ceiling light that I made out of these twisty lights. So you twist them like so. Now
Siri, bugger off.
I put magnets on the ceiling because I want to get them down to fill the to change the batteries. So I don't want them stuck right to the ceiling. So I probably should sit the other way, but that's okay for now. I think that's it for the living room. Just a couple of books if anybody wants to read. So let's go to
the making of the books.
Then we can do the making of the books. We'll do those, I think, well, we can do it now or at the end. What do you think?
Well, we'll see how much time we have.
All right. Okay. So the next room I did, and I'm starting to do things less and less often. The next room I did was the upstairs room. Window blinds are coffee stirrers, and they're not quite the same length, but that's okay. I don't think mine are in my bedroom either, so we're all right there. I kept this floor. This was an original floor. I've already decided I'm going to redo it like this one. I decided that this morning. I put the fabric on the wall, nice. And the paintings are just, I painted them. But again, you don't have to be able to do paintings. You can just print them off and plunk them up there. Some of the stuff I did just glue right on the wall. This one I hung on a nail, but that one I didn't, for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't have a nail handy. I don't know. This guy I wanted to have in the bay window in the bedroom because I knew that the bed was probably going to sit there and there was not going to be anything behind it. There's going to be a space. So I thought, I'll make a piece of furniture, which you now never even see because the bed is in front of it. But it's kind of cute. And it could go downstairs too, although I don't really.
That's what I would have done.
Of course. And if there's anything that I didn't make, I'll point it out when I'm putting it together. But most of that stuff is in the kitchen. The bed, the one thing I forgot to talk about in the materials section is the bed, the mattresses, you use magic erasers, and they are perfect. And they're even nice and white. Oh, shoot. And it's like, wow, let's just show you how I made it. So they're nice and light and white, and they're perfect. So they are like memory foam. So this bed is made strictly out of craft sticks. Sometimes I would, and I didn't mention this earlier, if I needed the wood to be a little bit heavier, I would just double it, glue it together, clamp it, and then I'd have a little bit more of a solid wood to work with. So let's put this bed back together. This little fabric is one that does actually drape pretty nicely, so I used that one. Siri, what's up? What's she got? Anything? No, she's good. So, bed goes there. A couple little lights. These lights don't turn on. I know.
They will.
I know, they might someday, but they don't right now. Little mirror, same thing. It's with the framing using popsicle sticks. Now I happen to have cut mirror around because of my kaleidoscope making days, but I mean, you can use a compact or a whatever. I just happen to have it. Another little light. This is an example of the fairy light. I don't have a string of fairy lights to show you, but they're, if you can see, there's about 20 lights, and it's a quite fine wire. Like it's like the miniature Christmas lights, but it's on a smaller scale. Sarah, what did you got? She got something. Let me see.
Oh, did she?
Oh, it's Lego. That's okay.
Come on, sweetheart. You can.
Actually, Sarah, you just reminded me of something kind of important. And I'm gonna way backtrack, but this is interesting. Another thing that I use, if I'm gluing two things together like this and I don't want to sit and hold them forever, Lego gives you a perfect right angle so that you can walk away and leave.
Of course.
Of course it does. Mm-hmm. So that's what the Lego is doing around, by the way. So here's a light, and I'm gonna put the, sorry, and this is just a glue bottle, like a crazy glue bottle or whatever. A little bit of fun foam or craft foam around the top, some cording. I don't know what those were, something I had upstairs, but you could use anything. You could use pieces of straw.
Are you going to tell the nice people how you almost stole the salt and peppers from the
I did almost steal the salt and peppers from a restaurant because they were going to make a perfect bar stool. But I did make a bar stool in the end, and I saved their salt and pepper shakers, so we're all happy. And you notice the door frames in this room aren't finished. But under the bed, I put the battery pack, which is kind of nice. Under the beds are great for things in real houses and in doll houses. The light for... Oh, I've lost the light for that room. That's kind of weird. We'll have to revisit that later.
Well, maybe it'll come out of Siri tomorrow.
Maybe she's eating it. A little wall shelf. Again,
nice.
Just, the craft sticks. I haven't accessorized a lot. I'll explain the accessories as I go for the ones that I have done, but there's still a lot that I haven't. I don't know where that light is. That's kind of weird. Oh, no, I see it. So this...
We're both relieved.
This is another tea light. It's one that looked like kind of looked like a candle, so that's why it's got this striggle. Anyway, I put a magnet on the top, magnet on the ceiling, and there you have your ceiling light. And you can take it down to change the battery. Plants and accessorizing, again, artificial. I had that pot, so I didn't make that pot, but you could. Put a little plant up there. Folded laundry is great. It's just folded scraps of fabric. So we'll put some of that there. And maybe we'll put a book up on the shelf. Again, I'll have this probably full by the time all is said and done, but for now, we're just doing it. Little bedside carpet is pom-poms. I should have showed you. I'm not sure I love that, but whatever. Little mini pom-poms on a piece of foam.
Ooh.
Nice for your toes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
A little plant. And that's probably a cap of something wrapped in string. Okay.
Cool.
The mirror is not standing up very straight. The carpet. Well... carpet. I wanted a shag carpet. I wanted a fluffy, soft carpet, and I couldn't find anything. And then I found this sock. And it was very unsuccessful as a sock, I have to say, because it was a lined sock, and the lining and the sock never stayed together. So they'd be twisted. So I was like, damn these socks.
So you murdered the sock.
It's going to be a carpet. And I love it. It's the perfect carpet. Mm-hmm. But as a sock, it was horrible. Pillows are pretty straightforward. We don't need to go into a whole lot of explanation about those. This little chair, which I am actually redoing this because I think I can do it better. But it's a reproduction of a Vasily chair, Klendinsky, and a guy that works at Sam's shop, Jeff. Well, I can say his name, I guess.
Reynolds.
Jeff Reynolds said you should. He said, I ordered one of those. You should make one. It would be perfect in the dollhouse. And I think I had mine done before he got his. That's another story. His looks awesome. Coat hangers, this is something from a throwback. But I mean, it's fun little things like this that just make the detail kind of jump out. I think that's it for that room. So we're going to move on to the little kids' room next. Not necessarily a boy or a girl. And as I said, I've already decided I'm going to fix this floor. This floor was like this because of the staircase that was in the kitchen. The staircase took up a ton of room in both rooms. It didn't even allow me to have a wall. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to get rid of it because there's no staircase going to the attic. So I am taking this out. This was just a patch. It's funny though when you're doing it because you think things like, well, is that patch going to hold that person? Is it going to be strong enough? And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's not a real person living here. So it's okay. So I'm going to take this out and redo these floors like this, but not today. So this, let's see what's already in the room.
It's a DOG going by.
Oh, that's what it was. Little bulletin board is just cork, done the same way as the artwork, and this is just printed off. Ski posters done with the coffee stirrer frames and the plastic packaging stuff. Little boxes to hold some toys. He doesn't have very many toys yet. He's a gamer. He doesn't play with a lot of toys. Bunk bed was the first thing. I should do that first. So when I do redo the floor, I'm going to have to level off the legs of the bed because I cut them. I cut them because it wasn't sitting straight. But that's okay. It won't be that much shorter. So bunk bed is modeled after an IKEA bed. Same thing with the mattress. It's the magic eraser. The nice thing, see how it's crooked right now, right? Because it's standing.
Oh,
But I'll fix that. But I found a tutorial for it, and that was fine. But it was huge. I don't know whether it said scale, but the scale wasn't right. So the nice thing was I went onto IKEA, found the dimensions of the bed, followed the dimensions. Simple. Same thing.
Anyone would do that.
Same thing with this little desk. It's an IKEA knockoff, so I just followed the directions. Slip it underneath. It's another thing that's going to have to be leveled off a little bit because it's
good for the homework.
Good for the homework. Good for the gaming. There's some little pencils that I made out of toothpicks that are constantly falling all over the place and I can never find. But as it would be the case in a real child's room.
Yes.
His little monitor, or hers, for gaming.
Yeah.
This little remote, I thought it looked like a remote, was the battery of the pencil that I stepped on and broke, and I kept it for safekeeping. So that's this little remote. Oops, I'm not going to pick it up. This light does not light up. This I had originally made for this room, but I liked it in this room better. Little cushion on the floor by the pillow. This is an interesting little piece of furniture. So way back when, on that, you can see one here too. You saw a little wooden design on that cabinet and on this cabinet, and they're little wooden cutouts. And they came from the dollar store, and they came in a case, a wooden case that looked like this. It wasn't green, it was just wood. They were all wood. There was like 100 of those things in it. I don't know what I'm ever going to do with them. But when I cut the case apart, it became two, and put legs on it, it became two little standing shelves. So lots of times I look at things, and I don't use them for what they are designed for. They become something else. Let's see, the other thing. This is another example of the fairy light. So it's a fairy light hassock. So it will sit in here. And both this battery pack and the battery pack from the kitchen drop ceiling, which we'll see in a minute. I'm going to make that a bit heavier so it sits better. We'll go into like some sort of a chest that will sit on the balcony. That's terrible. What are you doing? I tried to
Recycle bin.
I tried to fix that this morning. It didn't fix, but I will. It'll sit straight eventually. Let's leave it out here and turn it off for now. Oh, let's leave it there. Again, the door frames aren't done yet. There's a little pillow. There's some laundry we'll put back on the back shelf. I'm not going to put these trains up because they're very fiddly.
It's a kid's room. It should be on the floor.
Yeah, they should be. These trains, and I will put them on the floor. Trains and toys. Well, sure, you'll eat that for sure. Can you get it?
Oh, I'm nothing if not limber.
We'll just put those on the floor. They're old toys anyway. He's outgrown those.
Yeah.
Ladder. So the ladder can go here.
Oh, yes.
Using it. And I think the other thing, if I change this flooring, is that I can rearrange the room a little bit more. I have a few more options for beds. This, we'll put the puppy in. This, I really wanted to make a gaming chair. And
puppy. He's got a dog.
He does have a dog. I didn't want to make a traditional gaming chair, but I wanted to make one of these. And I was going to find a light bulb and cover it with polymer clay to make the shell. When I found the light bulb was actually acrylic. So I was like, okay, now I just have to cut the light bulb in half. And so that became this chair. And then the bottom is just wooden dowel. That's a straw. And so it can swivel. Well, because you can't have a chair that doesn't swivel.
Oh, wow.
So that's that. His little iPad sits there, his or her. With some of these little lights, I clipped off the ring that holds them. Sometimes I kept them, sometimes I clipped them. It depended on the use. But this time, if I wanted to put it on his desk or on here, it'll stand up like so. And this light, I brought this home from the dollar store too, and I thought, oh, I got them home and I turned them on. I was so disappointed because they, it was like red, and then it was like yellow, and then it was like blue, and I was so mad. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's going to look awesome in a kid's room. What kid isn't going to want that? So this is just a box built around the tea light. One of those panes of glass that I had from years back, from whatever. And I don't know what those are called. Grommets. They're not grommets. I don't know what they're called. There's something like grommets.
There's something like
There's something like grommets. And again, it magnetizes to that ceiling. And
cool.
It changes color. That brings us to the kitchen. The kitchen was the killer. So the kitchen, can you see all
the heart of the home?
Can you see all parts of the kitchen? I'll start with what's in there. So the kitchen, the clock is just polymer clay. The kitchen floor is original. And somebody asked me if I would keep the floor, so I said, sure, why not? The kitchen ceiling had a hole in it because...
I like a black and
the
white.
first... well, I had some stuff in the kitchen. I had this old chest. There's a name for these. What's the name for these, Janine?
Hoosier cabinets or hutch?
Hoosier cabinet. So this I had. It was blue. It had doors on the top. So I actually did this. It was the very first thing I did in this remodel was to paint that. It has cute little doors and drawers. So I'm going to keep that piece in here. And I'll accessorize it at the end. I also had a wood stove, and when I first started doing it, I thought, oh, I'll just keep the wood stove, it's cute. And then once I got all this modern stuff in, I was like, well, that is ridiculous. That's dumb looking. So we're going to do a new kitchen. The other thing that I had was the table and chairs. Here are the chairs. I'll show you the table in a minute because it's got stuff in it. I did just reupholster the chairs with black leather or black vinyl, but these chairs were from the original house. So we're going to put those in. We don't need to put them all in. We can just put 3 in. And this was the first. So when I started to do the kitchen, I just planned it out in paper. I had this done. I knew where the table was going to go. The staircase was gone. I found a kind of a plan online, drew it up on paper, did it to scale, where it would fit, put paper pieces on the wall, changed it a little bit. I didn't stick with the one that I originally started with, but I ended up with what I'm pleased with. So this was the first cabinet that I made. I didn't worry about these drawers opening and closing because they're under the sink and you're not going to use them or see them anyway. The sink is wood. I just did it with white nail polish and it needs to be touched up a bit. But there's a little drain. If you can see the little drain hole and the little cutlery. It's so cute. Aww. The cutlery I did buy. Anything that was metal so far I've been buying.
Until you get your 3D printer.
Until I get my 3D printer. The faucet, who John Ball, by the way, offered to make me some stuff, but I have to learn the program, and I haven't done it yet. The faucet is a part of a coat hanger.
It's almost Christmas.
It's almost Christmas. And wood, and a little piece of wire, and just sprayed. Another kind of paint that I do use quite a bit is this aluminum spray paint, which make things look super metallic. So this sits right here. Oops, right there. Above it, you'll notice what looks like ceramic tiles, I hope. And what it is photographic paper, glossy photographic paper, scored, put onto a piece of white foam to give it a little bit of depth. So it gives you the look of acrylic tile. I tried to do polymer clay tiles and nothing was working. This
looks great.
It turned out good. This was the stool we were talking about that I found the salt and pepper shakers that I wanted to steal because I wanted to make...
I'm going to find you again.
Okay.
Here we are.
I wanted to kind of have a retro feel, and I could, and these salt and pepper shakers at Quinn's Inn were perfect, but I didn't want to steal them, so... this is made
now
out of...
you never can because now everybody will know.
Now everyone will know. This is a tin of the little box. This was a part of a paper clip, and so is this. I know it's weird kind of paper clip. I don't even know how to explain it. But it was just a plastic piece and it had a wire around it. And a straw, not a flexible plastic straw, but a heavy duty straw, acrylic thing. And some padding and some vinyl, and it took a bit of fiddling, but I thought it came out kind of cute. Mm-hmm. The stove was a bloody nightmare. Let's put this bird cage up here and put some of these things in. Stove and the oven were a pain in the neck, and the stove in the oven and the fridge. The fridge was, I got a little bit better by the time I started doing the fridge. But I think mostly because I was using materials I was unfamiliar with.
Ooh, chopping board.
Rolling
pin.
That doesn't want to go on there. How come? There we go. Well, we got a little knife block here. So at this point is when it becomes not totally child friendly because I can just see Ben and Greg downstairs with these
poking each other's eyes out. Yeah.
But anyway, whatever. Where's the spaghetti? Spaghetti oddly doesn't seem to scale down. It's just spaghetti. It's just real spaghetti in there. I don't know why, how that worked. It's probably angel hair, but still. Let's see the stove. Okay, stove is a pain in the neck. So this is the second or possibly third stove. This one I do like.
Find you again. Here we are. I like the red wolf knobs.
The red knobs, yeah, are fun. They're polymer clay. The door hinges are my biggest nightmare, but this hinge I had, it was a 2-bead. It's hard to see it. I made it out of wire and a bead, and it's sufficient. There's a little piece of metal on the door, and there's a little magnet so that the door stays shut.
Always important.
Always important. And of course, I had to have a gas grill. I couldn't have settled for a glass top stove, which would have been super easy to do. I had to have a gas grill. So I think this is the 4th stove top. So I've done wire, polymer clay, wire again, toothpicks, which were horrible looking. And then this is the polystyrene that model builders use. And it's finally the most successful one. So that's the stove. So it finally did work. Above the stove is the range hood, which does turn on as well.
Oh, my.
Okay. These cupboards were a bit of a pain too, just because sizing. I wasn't used to sizing and I wasn't accounting for, I don't know, I just wasn't very good at it, but I'm getting better. So they turned out okay. In the end, there's a little counter beside here. Oh, the fridge was just going to be a big silver fridge sitting there, and I thought, it's kind of ugly. So I'm going to build it in, and plus it gives me a little more wall space. So I put some shelves up here. I've got a tray here I can stick in and out. It's a little cutting board. We need a cutting board. We also might need some cookbooks on the counter. I had a pencil for writing. I don't know where the pencil went to. We've got some pots and pans. We'll put in these I bought. So far, in the kitchen, what I didn't make myself was the bird cage, the toaster. These pots and pans I did not make. I bought those. And last, no, not last, I shouldn't say that. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. We'll put the table in. So the table, again, is original. Well, from the original house. Original what, but put it in. And the fridge. The fridge I'm not 100% happy with, but I'm relatively happy with it. The freezer jar is on the bottom. This is the styrene.
Oh, yeah, very important.
This is the metal that I used. I'd be more careful. I dinted the metal in some spots, but my old fridge has a dint in it, so whatever. The hinges on this look terrible, but I do have an idea of fixing them. There's a lot of times there's a level where I can live with it, and there's a level where I can't. So in this case, I can live with it because when it's in there, you can't see it from either side. So then I can live with it. You can't see it from the front because it's hidden in. But it should be better than that. The inside, you've got your little acrylic shelves.
Oh, my.
You've got your things in the door. Now, again, I don't have a ton of accessories yet. I'm going to spend a whole day doing accessories, or weekend. And then we'll do another live walkthrough of...
Dodgy vegetables? Dodgy vegetables on the fridge?
Yeah. Stuff like that. So that's the fridge for now, and it sits in here, like so. So you see how you can't even see those from either direction, so that's why I don't care too much about them. There's a little metal tray. Now, one thing I had a ton of fun with this morning, here's a cleaver. I'm going to hang this up on this little on this little nail. There we go. And a little whisk.
Ooh.
Which is super cute. We'll hang that up beside it. But the thing I had the most fun with today, oh, here's the pencil with the cookbook. And the rest of these cookbooks go in the top of this shelf. I'm not going to do it now because it's very picky, but they all sit up on the top of that shelf and they line up across. And I have a bunch of new ones made. But a couple of things I did today were, I'm going to move these books so you can have a really good look at the latest editions. A little bottle of white, a magnum of champagne, a large red, and a little red. All Liz said to me was she'd like there to be a reading library and a reading nook. So right now I'm going to do it the way we had it, but it's probably going to change. So this is the dish towel from the Dollarama, or the dollar store, sorry.
It's very clean.
This is an old, this is one of the old things, needs to be repainted again, but I repainted it white just because I thought it looked better in there white. I do have bathroom stuff, and right now I think the bathroom is going to go back here, but that could change. And I'm going to put, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to build some kind of a wall that's semi-transparent. So you can see through it, and it will have a sliding door that will be on runners that goes this way. It might be over here. I don't know. I'm not sure on that. The TV off and the TV on.
Oh.
It's on top. This light was one of the first things I bought at the Dollarama, and it was just like it is now. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the perfect light. It's really big for the living room, but it works up here.
Oh.
So I'll hang that up.
Gorgeous for there.
We'll put a little mat in front of the toilet. We'll put some cushions over here in the corner.
Rosemary requests a patio off the kitchen.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
Good luck to her, right?
I don't know yet whether I'm going to add on to this one or build a whole new super ultra modern apartment loft. I can't decide. The biggest problem for me is where they're going to go. And it's same with this. It's a fairly small footprint, but if I start adding on to it, it's not going to be small for long. One thing Liz requested was this, in her reading nook, she wants, so basically beside this fireplace, or whichever wall becomes the reading nook, will be filled with shelves and filled with books, which will probably take me about 800 years to make, but that's okay. Oh shoot, Liz, don't, oh no, I broke your Royal Dalton. Okay, I'll fix it, I promise.
I don't think she's watching.
Maybe it was already broken. Okay, don't anybody tell her.
Secret Facebook Live.
Oh, here's a little weather vane for the top. And I also have bricks for the chimney. So those things are yet to come. A little plant. That was a nail polish lid. Dollarama. This was an old, see, I didn't buy very much originally. I bought this horse. Well, now we don't have a little kid, but I guess it can just be stored in the attic or whatever. I can find something to do with it. And Liz also asked me if I could make her favorite yellow chair from IKEA and the footstool. So that's that, and that's what Monique, if you're watching, that's what I used the quilt batting for. And it's another great thing because you can go on, I went on to the IKEA site, found the chair, found all the drawings for the chair and all the dimensions. So like half my work is done. So we'll put the little chair up like so. And we'll just have a look at this old Alice in Wonderland because it actually has.
Oh, take the roof off, build another layer.
Yes. I'm trying to find a book that has the text in it and I can't seem to find it. This is it. So I don't know if you can see, if you can see in there or not.
Oh, we can.
There is text in that book. So this is all, and I also want somehow to have an artist's library up here. It wouldn't be this easel, this is too big for me, but I don't know how it's going to work yet. And that might not happen. That might be in the next house too. But that's the plan. That's the tentative plan. So the next Facebook Live we're going to do, I'm going to do it when the attic is done, and we'll focus on accessories. And then the one after that we'll do when the outside is finished.
Okay.
Okay? Thanks everybody for joining. Hope you liked it.
See ya, folks.
Bye.